Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we celebrate and hold in the light and praise those who are truly making significant contributions in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity, and we want to thank Wilkes Communications, RiverStreet Productions, and 100.9 WIFM for the opportunity to be with you. My featured guest today is Joe McMillian. We've been friends for almost 15 years, and I know him to be a most honorable man. He was born and raised in Sparta. He's a member of the Wilkesboro Methodist Church, the North Wilkesboro Rotary Club, a Marine Corps veteran, and a person who's always seeking and finding ways to serve this wonderful community. And good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning to you, Gary.
Joe McMillian. And let's go right back to Sparta and growing up there, and somewhat of a challenge in childhood and how the community just embraced you, if you will. Tell us about your family.
Sir, I was born in 1932, right on Main Street there in Sparta. We had one of the largest families on the street there. My mother and father had 7 children. My father became ill and passed away in January of '33. I was 9 weeks old at the time. My dear mother had quite a challenge there to go on and move forward with, to raise 7 children there, but she did a great job.
And early on, a lot of significant friends kind of lifted your family and became fathers with you not, with yours having passed away. So just tell us about the community and how you got along, Joe McMillian.
Well, I was very fortunate in that my 3 closest neighbors were dear friends. Each of those men, each of those gave me a job as I was coming on. The dear gentleman right next door, retired school superintendent, Mr. John Cheek. I just started budding with him when I got old enough to cross the fence. I'd see him working over there, and I'd cross that fence and get over. And as I grew on up and got old enough where I could drive a team and so on, he put me on the payroll at 10 cents an hour, and I'd help him hoe corn, put up hay, drive cattle, just do anything around the farm there. He had 2 farms, and I was able to learn a lot from that dear gentleman. He kind of took me under his wing and helped me. And the other 2 fine neighbors there, when I got up about 12 years old, Mr. Ben Rees owned the Spartan Theater. He gave me a job there to catch tickets and so forth, and just a great guy. And my next door neighbor on the left, a fine gentleman by the name of Dr. Roy Burgess, he was the local pharmacist. He gave me a job in his drugstore, and I was able to work in his drugstore for 3 years there until I graduated from Sparta High School in 1951.
Joe McMillian, you had an outstanding sports career. You played 3 sports. Give us just a little bit of overview there, if you will.
Well, I always enjoyed playing sports from grade school and so forth. Of course, Sparta had 3 varsity sports, baseball, basketball, and football. And we'd start in the fall with football and go into basketball in the winter, and then as spring would come along, we'd play baseball. And the good Lord blessed me with the ability. I wasn't a great player, but I enjoyed playing. I was a team player and had a lot of good experiences, had a lot of fine teammates to play with, and we had some very memorable games that I love to talk about even today.
Joe McMillian, you were the mascot was the Ramblers, is that right?
No,
What was that we talked about?
our mascot was the bees. We would
Okay.
call the honeybees, I believe.
All right. Ray Walker, did you talk about a Ray Walker?
Ray Walker there was our school principal. He was an outstanding gentleman. Had a lot of compassion for children, and he was just had a lot of influence in my early life, and I liked the gentleman, and he remained a dear friend up until he passed away a number of years ago.
Joe, after graduating from high school, let's fill in there for us, if you will.
Well, my oldest sister, Ima Vaughn, and her husband owned a couple of dry cleaning plants in Dayton, Ohio, and she'd come down to my graduation, and I was working there in the drugstore with a fine young fellow named Cecil Brooks. And Cecil and I had talked about going into the paratroopers, but my sister Ima says, why don't you go back to Ohio with me, and we can give you a job in our business there for the summer, and then you can go to the University of Dayton in the fall. And I thought it over, and I decided that I would go back to Ohio with her, and it turned out to be a good decision for me. And I went to University of Dayton for a year in a summer school, and then I transferred over to Ohio State for 1 quarter, and the Korean War was underway, and I felt like I was going to be drafted. I really wasn't doing all that well in school, and I thought I needed a new direction for my life, and I volunteered and joined the Marines in January of 1953, and went on to spend a 3-year career in the Marines. Served over in Japan and Korea. The Korean War was over by that time, but I had a great opportunity to serve in that area there. Great experience, and something I'll always enjoy talking about and remembering.
Joe McMillian, the legacy, the spirit, the lessons, maybe just a little bit about the Marine Corps that I've heard the saying, you're always a Marine, or some of the, can you just share with us a little bit about the impact of being in the Marine Corps?
Well, it all starts in boot camp. You know, you have to be able to get through the number of weeks, generally 14 weeks or so, before you can wear the Marine emblem. And then you can, if you can pass all of the requirements and so on, you get to become a Marine, and you can wear the Marine Corps emblem. And that's something that it is instilled in you from the very start. You know, you learn all about the Marine Corps history, the traditions, and so forth. And there've been so many famous Marines that the generals and so on that we have been taught about in boot camp, and as we go forward, it's just a great experience to learn about all those heroes. Each one of those leaders is a true American hero, and you learn that, and you feel like that you're just part of it. And Marines are a close-knit group, and as you say, once a Marine, always a Marine. And anywhere I see a Marine, whether it's in a store in Trap Hill or in the airport in Atlanta, I go immediately to them, shake their hand, and thank them for their service.
As we were meeting prior to being on the stage today, Rodney Huffman, a significant Boy Scout leader, and before you came in the door, we were talking about you, and he said there's going to be a ceremony for an upcoming Eagle in his community, and that you would be there and make a presentation. I think it'd be a good time for you to share. Here we are in life today, but you're still doing Marine, being an honorable Marine.
Yeah. Well, I have the privilege to serve locally with our local group, the Marine Corps League Detachment 1187. And one of our special programs that we are glad to take out to the scout troops is that we have a Good Citizen Award that we present to any Eagle where we are invited to come to their Eagle ceremony. And we have a number of Marines that show up in full dress, and we make a presentation, award the certificate, which comes in a beautiful red leather, I don't know what you call it, it's a nice package.
Sure.
To present to the new Eagle.
Citizenship.
It's a Good Citizenship Award. And of course their name is on there, and the official officers of the Marine Corps League sign that, and it's dated, and it's something that the Eagle can keep all of his life, you know.
Also, you've had some anniversary celebrations about football with the Wilkesboro group. Tell us how that started and just a little bit about how many folks were there, Joe McMillian.
Very quickly, in the fall of 1950 was my senior year at Sparta. We played Wilkesboro on September the 22nd, 1950, and we went down from Sparta down to Wilkesboro, and the score was 53-6. Wilkesboro really beat us bad, and we were at this time that I want to tell you about. We scored one touchdown, and this was probably against their second team, which it was on up in the game a little bit. Coach Red Hoffman. He was coaching Wilkesboro, and he had taken his first team out, and it so happened that the Wilkesboro Ramblers.
Ramblers, that was the word I was using a while ago. I had it mixed up. Who
we were playing against there, they had the highest scoring team in North Carolina that year. And their varsity players had a lot of pride in that. And they didn't want a team to score against them. Their goal was to hold every team scoreless. So they saw that we were going to score. I had the privilege of playing quarterback, and I had thrown a little flat pass out to our left halfback, and he was able to break through, and he was going down to score. Well, Big Bob Parker was on the bench. He was a starting center for the Ramblers. He saw that there was going to be a score there, so he jumps right up off the bench, goes out on the field and turns left, and goes right down and tackles our player, who was a fine young fellow by the name of George Hines. And he tackled George, who was our left halfback. But the official was a fellow from up in Boone named Johnny Hollers. Johnny happened to see this violation, and he went ahead and gave us a touchdown for that. So we ended up getting the score against the Ramblers. And as fate would have it, I moved on to Wilkes after graduating from college, and worked at the old Yadkin Valley there, and came on up and spent 32 years in the dairy industry. But anyhow, after I moved to Wilkes, I got acquainted with not all of them, but several of the Wilkesboro Ramblers there. So after 50 years there, of course I'd stayed in touch with my friends up in Sparta. I says, I'll get the Sparta boys to come down and we will meet. We met at a local restaurant, and we had about the same number, about 12 on each side there. We had a good time. We had a nice meal together, the Ramblers. And something I'd like to clarify that I misspoke a minute ago. I called our team the Honeybees. We were the Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets.
We were the Sparta Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't think of when you asked me first about that. But anyhow, we had a very nice meeting there and replayed that game. Well, fast forward again, 10 years later to the very day, we met again, the same local restaurant here, and we had the group come down. We had lost some players on both sides by that time. We had a smaller group, but Coach Hoffman was still alive, and he met with us. And again, we played the game again over, and we just had a great time. And the Sparta players would tell the Wilkesboro players, says, we're going to continue doing this until we get so old that we feel like that the Sparta players can convince the Wilkesboro players that we actually won the game and you all lost, you know. But we have great hopes of meeting at 70 years. We did meet at the 60-year level, and
oh my goodness!
And hopefully we are going to meet in 2020 for 70 years, and hopefully by then that Sparta can get them weeded down to where that we can say that we actually won, but we really lost. You know.
Joe McMillian, I want to talk about Rotary.
Yes, sir.
And what a key role it is in your life. You were a charter member of the North Wilkesboro Rotary Club, and let's spend just a significant some moments right now talking about the significant contributions of the Rotary Club.
Well, Rotary is a very important part of my life. We got established here in Wilkes in 1964, and we got chartered in April of 1965. A fine group of Rotarians from Lenore came over from Lenore, and got us organized, and my goodness, Rotary has really, really taken off in Wilkes County. We do a lot of good things. We sponsor the fair here, the Wilkes County Agricultural Fair. We're very active at Merle Fest. We are also have a number of different fundraisers. We have the races here, the lawnmower races.
Yes.
And we have chicken queues, just a number of ways that we raise our money. And of course, all this money goes right back into our local community here and elsewhere. We have an outstanding scholarship program where Rotary goes out to the high schools and gives our Rotary scholarships. And we support a number of projects. We change these from year to year and so on, but we help the hospital, the community college, and with specific things that will help students, you know, help patients. And we make an impact in our community and have a lot of good members. We generally have 50, 60 members.
You meet every Monday night?
Yes, sir, we meet.
Tell us about a meeting. I think our folks listening or watching us tonight would, some of them probably wonder what goes on at a Rotary meeting. Just kind of walk through what will happen at a meeting, where you have it now, and some of those things.
We meet at the Smokehouse here, a very nice local restaurant, have excellent food, and our meeting always starts with a Pledge of Allegiance, and we have a opening prayer, and we generally always have a good speaker. We have John Matthews is our man who handles our program, and he makes good selections, brings people in that gives us an opportunity to learn, and gives the nonprofits and all these people who need to get their word out, you know, to the community. And we end up and have a good fellowship and have a nice meal together, and it's a learning experience, and we just
when we talk about being active, and I have occasion to be in several Rotaries all over this region, the activities, the number of dollars raised, I think is just at the top of the list, and you're just a kind of on fire Rotary Club. Having Robert Rosati, every week he'll tell me something that happened in Rotary on Monday night.
Sure. Just at our last meeting, Monday night, one of the district officials was there, a district governor was there, and he presented our club with an award that said that our club was the top club of the larger clubs within our total district, which takes in a large portion of North Carolina, which was very proud and very humble to accept that, knowing that we were at the top of the list there.
Joe McMillian, you are an outstanding realtor, and that involves treating people with respect and honesty. And tell us about your company that you serve, about continuing to have a very successful career. Will you do that for me?
Well, I have the good fortune to work with Sherrill Fall Realty. Mr. Sherrill Fall is, I guess, the oldest realtor in business here in Wilkes. He's been doing business over 50 years, has built over 4,300 homes, and it's just good to be aligned with a fine organization there. Being a realtor is truly a blessing in life because you're able to meet with fine folks and help them find homes, and a lot of them are just interested in land or whatever. In a small market like we're in, you have the opportunity to work in selling commercial buildings, building lots, fine residential homes. And
what will you do today? Give us some idea. What does a realtor kind of think of what you're going to do the rest of this day, and tell us how things work?
You all, in the realtor business, the word prospects is number one. You're always looking for land that you can list and looking for people that are interested in buying and so forth. I have a number of people that I need to contact today about properties that they will consider listing and so on. And I want to make those contacts and follow up on. After you sell a property, there's a lot of follow-up that needs to be done in order to work that particular transaction to the closing date, which generally is some 30 to 45 days after you actually make the offer to purchase contract is accepted, But the bottom line is you get to work with a lot of fine people. We got wonderful realtors here in the county, half a dozen or so of good companies. We have good cooperation among the realtors and the companies. So it's generally a pleasure to go to work each and every morning.
Good. Joe McMillian, the Wilkesboro Methodist Church. Tell us about, you've been a Methodist, I think 72 years possibly, and just the roles, some of the things you played there, and the wonderful spiritual lift that you go, when you go, you put a lot in it, and you're able to take weigh a lot.
Oh yeah. I joined the Methodist Church at age 12 up at the Sparta Methodist Church, and then as I went into Ohio and got my education and so forth, and came back to work at the local dairy here, I joined immediately the Wilkesboro United Methodist Church, and of course I've been in that church there over 50 years, and enjoyed it very much. I think I've served under some 12 pastors there, and as time would go along during that 50 years or so, I would have an opportunity to serve in different capacities within the church, and I've always accepted those challenges as they would come along, and I've seen so many wonderful people. Our oldest member there, Mr. Clegg Culler, just passed away recently there, and we're always remembering who's coming, who's the oldest member, and they're just, you've got wonderful friends above you and wonderful friends below you. Pastor Chris Lakey will be leaving our church. He's been there, I believe, some 17 years as our youth minister there. He's built a tremendous youth program there, and we're all so proud of that, and we each have been able to help Chris a little bit in his program as he has come in and advanced that. But he's going on down to the church at Harmony, North Carolina, to be taking his first church, and we're all so proud of Chris and praying for him, and we know that he'll do well. Yes.
He's been here with me a couple of months, and your name, when your name was, we were talking about Joe McMillian, and I could sense in Chris the impact that you've had and are having and will have in his life. It's an endearing moment. I could see in him that you've touched him in a special way, and that goes both ways, isn't it?
Sure, it's
in life like that. When you put something in, a lot comes back to us.
Chris is an outstanding young person. He has a lot to offer, and I'm sure that he's a future leader in the United Methodist Church, no question about it. Yes.
And you get to see Arnold Lakey, his dad, every Sunday too, I guess.
Oh yeah, Arnold's a dear friend of mine. He has been in Rotary also over 50 years, and one of the greatest leaders here in our entire county. Has served on all the boards and major boards within the county here, and so active in our church. And he's
Ms. Lakey.
She is there backing up the family, backing Chris, and practically all her family attend our church. And the Lakey family has certainly made their stay in the Wilkes County community here. And the pretty beautiful part about it is they both are still very, very active. I think Arnold just finished up heading out the Relay for Life here in the county, and it's just they have just been great workers and great Christians. They sure are.
Jim Swafford.
Yeah, well.
Tell me about him.
Well, Jim is certainly a true friend. He has been a United States Marine officer. He served as a captain during the Cuban missile crises, and of course he came home and been a very successful businessman. Jim was one of the most outstanding athletes to be raised here in Wilkes County. He started on the varsity in football when he was in 8th grade.
He did.
Yeah, that's a very unusual accomplishment. Big, strong boy by that time. He was up over 200 pounds in the 8th grade, and the coaches was already taking a look at him, and he was very brilliant, had very good grades, and Jim chose to go to Duke, and of course he was on the varsity there, very successful player. And he played for a couple of years, I think, with in the pros before he decided to go in business full time.
A short moment left, and what a wonderful experience to have you here with us. And we want to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions and WIFM. And this last minute, tell us how this community has embraced you, and you've enjoyed being a vital part of it, Joe McMillian.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that there's an old saying that says, if you put something in, much more will come out for you. And how that's been true in my life. I feel like I've been able to make a small contribution by living here in Wilkes for over 50 years, but how much more the community has blessed me in so many ways. My and not only me, but my immediate family has been blessed. My dear wife, who passed away some 8 years ago, she had so many friends. She was a music teacher here and taught in the public schools and interfaced with so many wonderful children. And a number of her children have gone on now and have had musical careers. She's so proud of them. And good Lord blessed us with 4 fine children, and each of those children have a lot of different friends here within the county. And everywhere I go each day, someone will mention to me something about one of my children or something, and it brings back such good thoughts and memories, you know, to be part of such a warm and friendly community, you know, as Wilkes is. It's small enough to where you get to know so many people, and they know you, and when you go to different places, it's good to see friendly faces, and that's everywhere I go, I see friends and able to talk to good people. And
Joe McMillian, we want to thank you for, when your name comes up, I said, there's a person who's always seeking and finding ways to serve God, family, friends, and worthy causes. God bless you, friend.
Thank you,
Hope
sir.
you come back.